Hey guys, so the last time I did a walk around of the entire shop and I just kind of did an overview. Today I want to show you this pre-production prototype of the Akron. It's probably the most historical piece that I have, maybe the most important piece I have in my whole collection. And it's so cool, I figured I'd start with this one. So this is it. You can see how cool it is. Originally, it would have had had a skin on it. It would have been all lettered up. But you can see this thing's 10 feet long. You can see the little cockpit down there. And if you look close here, there's even like living space in there. It's hard to see. That was all painted up at one time. See the windows. You can even see a little railing right there. How cool that is. You can see the little cockpit. Now, I think this is the first one because there's a couple other ones out there. This is maybe one of 2 or 3 that exist. But you can see how intricate it is. It's all wired together. It's made out of material called Duralume. It's an aluminum that's super light and super strong. It's exactly what they made the Akron out of. This thing is 10 feet long and would be what would be a 1/80th scale pre-production prototype. That's what's so extraordinary about this, is it's a pre-production prototype, not a model that came after, but it pre-existed the actual building of the Akron. And I have some really cool paperwork on it. It's here. I'll show you what it says in this book here. This is the National Air and Space Museum. Pretty impressive. And here is one of the models. This is what it would have looked like with the skin on it. Being this thing was from the probably late 20s, early 30s. It sat around. And the story that goes with it is the guy who bought it from a guy who bought it from the Cub Scouts. Back in the day, they were clearing out the Goodyear air dock down there where they had built these things, and they were just chucking everything. And they let the Boy Scouts go in, and they actually went ahead and pulled this out of there, and they sold it just to raise money for the Boy Scouts. Someone bought it, had it for 25 years, sold it to this guy I bought it from, and that's the only reason it exists. So the Boy Scouts pretty much saved it from being destroyed. And here, this is Popular Mechanics article. And I'll show you these Popular Mechanics articles, so cool. So according to this, they did some lightning testing on it to see how it would react. Because it was a scaled prototype, they put it to the test. I have some stuff for wind tunnel testing, and you can see this is Popular Mechanics. And I don't know, this is probably early 30s. Here's another one. This is what the inside would have actually looked like. And there's another picture of the model itself. Here's a really cool picture that proves it existed before the building of the Akron. Because there's a model, it's on shepherd hooks. And that is the lead engineer. His name is Carl Arnstein. And he's pointing at the model while, as you can see in the background, the rings of the Akron are being put up as they're actually building the aircraft itself, which I think is remarkable. And here's a picture. Here's a press photo, an actual photograph. It's a little hard to see. And you can see one of these in the background. This is a picture of the only 3 surviving members of the crash of the Akron, which I'm pretty sure it crashed in the ocean just outside, just off Jersey Shore. And these are the only 3 guys that survived. And on the back, you can see it says everything what it is. So it's an actual photograph, an actual press photo. I found that after the fact, which I thought was super cool. And here's the 2 big chiefs. And there's one of these scale models in the office at Goodyear, at the Goodyear office. And here's the 2 big guys coming together to talk about the design, because they had built these pre-production prototypes so they can kind of talk about it and start to look at what these things are actually going to look like. So, and here's a really cool picture of a period, a Goodyear kind of shop. Just to give you like a time period, you can see the age of all the cars, probably late 20s. And just neat stuff. I love all this stuff. And this would be in Ohio, as far as I know. But so that's the history I got on it. It's really cool stuff. Kind of lighter than air stuff. And you can see, I mean, the skeleton on this is so cool. It definitely would be cool if it was wrapped. But like I said, that stuff disappeared a long time ago. You can see these casted rings, and these would have been the fuel cells in the middle here. You can see the netting on each side. That would have been holding fuel in between there. And this thing, you can't imagine this thing back in the day, how big it would be. There's nothing that exists today that would have been as big as this Zeppelin. This thing is 10 feet long in my shop. It's a 1/80th scale, and it would have been 800 feet long. When you think about that, it would have been just about 3 football fields long. Almost, that would be 900 feet-ish. So it's almost 3 football fields long. These things in the early 30s would fly really no higher than 1,000 feet off the ground, which really isn't that high. So you can imagine back in that time period, I mean, these things would block out the sun coming over your town. It would have been so impressive. You would think a planet was just floating over you. And then all the people that were on it would be standing out on this balcony, because this is the quarters where people would stay, and you could see that railing, and they'd just be waving to you as they floated by. I just think it's so whimsical and so cool. I just can't get enough of this kind of stuff. What I love about it is that it's real history, and I have a real blimp built by Goodyear in its full form, pre-production prototype. Thanks for listening, guys, and I'll be back to you with some of this other stuff.